What are the best items to be selling on eBay for high profit as a beginner seller? I'm answering that question for you today. What are the very best profitable items to be selling on eBay, especially as a beginner seller that can turn high profits? Well, I have compiled a list of 10 items that I think are essential for every beginner or new eBay seller to implement into their sourcing strategy and to look for when they're outsourcing from the thrift stores or garage sales and that sort of thing. This also applies obviously to intermediate and expert advanced sellers, simply because high profit is high profit. So I have 10 items here and we're going to go over them. All of these items I have pulled from the eBay completed listings, the sold listings, so that we can kind of see what has been selling recently and for high profit. Obviously there's a window, there's a plus or minus of dollars. However, I grabbed samples of what I believe are good averages that we can draw a healthy conclusion to the profitability and the sell price of these items. Most of these items are other sellers. However, I did pull a couple completed sales from my seller account to show you as well. Let's jump into it. The first item that I have for you are Nike Air Jordans. Nike Air Jordans are without a doubt the #1 seller for me personally when it comes to selling items on eBay, and they almost always return a good profit. And the reason I say almost always is because invariably there's that one-off time where something sells too low, or you get lowballed, or you just need to get rid of an item because it's been sitting too long, or the value of that item has dropped over time. However, for the most part, I would say maybe 95% of the time, these items go for high profit, and Jordans are definitely my #1 pick. Here on the screen, you can see we have a pair of Nike Air Jordans that have sold for $50 plus calculated shipping. And you can see that this pair is not a very good looking pair. They're pretty rough, they're filthy, the toe box is all wrinkled, there's no shoe trees in them, the laces are twisted up, they have not been cleaned, and they still sold for $50 plus calculated shipping. Good on that seller for being able to make that much money. I would recommend cleaning the shoes up a bit, putting some shoe trees in them before you list photos, because you don't want to be you don't want it to seem like you're selling junk. You can also see this pair of Nike Air Jordan 1 Retro Highs with the metallic gold and black. I've sold a pair of these in the past. Mine were a grade school pair, and so I think I sold them for $39, but I had paid $3 for them. This is an excellent photo where the shoes are displayed very well, and you can see they have a lot of photos showing the different angles. Super important. Loving these shoes. Super pumped that these people were able to get $45 plus calculated shipping on them. Yeah, awesome pair of shoes. So that's my #1 pick. That would be Nike Air Jordans as an absolute must if you're going to be a reseller on eBay. My #2 pick are Nike SHOX. Nike SHOX, I think they're like the second most sold item that I've had. Maybe third. But Nike SHOX always sell super fast for me. And you can see this pair here sold for $60 plus shipping. Great colorway, that silver and the that soft pink, a really great colorway. Good looking photo too. These Nike SHOX NZs always sell really well. I've sold a few pairs of the NZs, as well as this next photo, the Delivers, the Nike SHOX Delivers. I've sold one pair of the Delivers. There's one word of advice that I would give, and that is to pay attention to how many of the little shock springs the shoes have. The 4 shock spring shoes, does that make sense? Like these right here that we see in the picture, they sell at this price, but if you have the 5 shock spring, if you have the 5 shock spring thing, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 on the very rear for 5. If you have a 5 shock shoe, those sell for more. You could probably get another $10 or $15 more just for having that 5th little shock on there. So that is cool. You can see this is only a 4 shock, whatever you want to call it, and they still sold for $99 free shipping as a pre-owned pair. You see that on the top, pre-owned. My next item that I have for you is this brand NOBULL. NOBULL, pronounced noble. Man, these are so hot right now. Depending on when you watch this video, if it's 2023 when you actually find this video, I don't know how all of these things are going to how they're all going to play out. However, here in 2020, this shoe is super hot right now. It's a somewhat of a new brand. I think it's only been out for a couple years, but they're high quality, high tech brand of shoes. And you can see right here, we've got a pair for 45, 50, 70, 110, 50, 99, 125, and 90. Those, a few of those they took best offers on. However, I'm telling you, this is awesome. This pair sold for $90 plus shipping, and I'm starting to see them in my Instagram feed. I'm starting to see other sellers pick these up at the thrift store. Even if you pay $10 or $15 for these in the thrift, that's still worth it because you can sell them for $90. Pay attention to that. Maybe it's better to spend $15 on one pair of shoes and sell it for $90 than to buy 3 pairs of shoes at $5 a piece and sell them for $25, right? Because then it's only $75 traded for your $15. Yeah, NOBULL. I have not. Let me make this clear. I have not sold any of these. These are a shoe that are new on my radar, and I'm keeping an eye out for them. But as a new beginner seller, this is definitely something that you should pay attention to and look for in the thrift stores. This pair of shoes right here, FLORSHEIM men's brown wingtip dress shoes. I have sold a few pairs of the FLORSHEIMs. Let me tell you what differentiates between a good quality pair and a pair that is not going to sell for as much profit. If they have a leather sole, generally the leather soles are going to go for much higher profit. Also, the vintage Imperials. So anything FLORSHEIM Imperial or vintage Imperial, super high dollar, like a couple $100, high dollar. And you can find those in thrift stores. Pay attention when you're shopping in thrift stores, pay attention to the brown. Look at the brown shoes. So many resellers, so many people go in and just look for the bright, colorful, flashy. They look for the Nike swoosh, or they look for the Adidas stripes, and they don't pay attention to the brown. Get in there, look for the browns, the dark colors, the black shoes. That is what you want to be paying attention to. You can see these sold for $64 plus $17 shipping. An amazing flip if this person was to have bought them for a simple $5 investment. Even $10 or $15, still a very good investment. Pay attention to those FLORSHEIMs. The next on my list are Belleville tactical military boots. Now, these have dropped in value somewhat compared to what they were 2 years ago. However, you can still find these for $5 or $6 depending on where you're at. And you can flip them for $30 to $40 to $60 plus shipping. Remember, they are a heavier shoe, so if you're going to include free shipping, to make sure you really bolster that price up to cover them. I want to say they weigh anywhere like 5 or 6 pounds. And then also with these shoes, if you buy the suede boots, you need to pay attention to how dirty they are because it's a lot harder to get suede clean than it is to get the smooth leather clean and buffed out. Speaking of that, our next photo is of a pair of smooth leather, and you can see these sold as pre-owned, excellent condition for $97 free shipping. I would imagine they paid probably close to $20 for that shipping. So, a good $70 or so before fees. I'm not calculating fees on these because I'm not the seller on most of these items. I am not sure what their final fee valuation is. Did they use promotions? Did they promote their listings? That can be an extra 4, 5, or 8% depending on how they promoted them. So I'm not giving final profits. However, I can tell you right off the bat, just sort of looking at these, that these are all profitable considering that the buy cost is low enough. The next brand moves into the clothing, out of shoes and into clothing. We have Ralph Lauren Military Surplus. You need to be paying attention to Ralph Lauren Military Surplus. I have only found one pair at the thrift. I noticed them from across the room. I went straight over. I had no idea about them. I just saw that they were camouflage, but they weren't military camouflage. They looked similar, but there was something that was off. I checked them out. Turns out they were Ralph Lauren Surplus, and that'll be on the next picture that I show. You see this pair is just a plain khaki, and they sold for $90. The Ralph Lauren Military Surplus cargo pants are so lucrative. And if you can get them for $7 or $8 at Goodwill or at your local thrift store, that is definitely the move to make. So now whenever I go into any thrift store, I run through the men's pants and I just look for military camo. I've not been successful with that method yet. However, I'm sure that will pay off. That one pair that I did find, it was on a rack of clothes that had just come out of the back of the Goodwill, and they were, putting them on the clothing racks. And so I did notice them before they got put out on the floor. But this is a brand to pay attention to. You see this pair here is the one that I sold. It's the double RL or RRL camo ripstop woodland military cargo surplus pants. It was a size 34, and they sold in under 24 hours. I listed them and they sold, boom, almost immediately. It may have been a few hours at the most. Sold them for $79.99, free shipping. And I probably could have squeezed more because of how fast they sold. I probably could have sold them for 80 or 85, maybe $90 with free shipping. Yeah, a super profitable pair. Also, in going with that, pay attention to the shorts version. There's the camouflage shorts. There's the solid color khaki, solid color black. As long as they are Ralph Lauren surplus or Ralph Lauren military surplus, get them. If you could find these for $4 or $5 at the thrift, and you could flip them in a matter of just a few days. You see these sold for $40 with free shipping. If you bought these for $4 or $5, even $6 at the thrift, definitely worth your time and money. The next thing on my list are Harley Davidson shirts. Most Harley Davidson shirts, if you can get them at a low enough buy cost, are going to be profitable. However, if you can get vintage stuff, meaning 25 years old or earlier, so I think 1995 or earlier, prior to that, that is what is considered vintage. Anything 25 years old or older is vintage. If you can do that, that is where the money is. You see this right here is a 1989 vintage Harley Davidson Hog Wild rare t-shirt that would probably, like, I could see this ending up in the bins, the Goodwill bins, because it's just a ratty tat old t-shirt, and it sold for $350 free shipping. So definitely keep your eyes out for Harley Davidson stuff. When you go to garage sales, if you find a garage sale where they're selling Harley Davidson stuff, then definitely try to buy all of it and work into that bundling. So they might have a pair of boots for $20 and a jacket for $40, which is a total of $60, but see if they'll take $50, or see if they'll take $40 for the lot. Or if they have t-shirts that are all $5 a piece or $10 a piece, see if you can bundle all of that. Hey, I'll take all this stuff and give you $100, and maybe you'll save $20, $30, $40 that you can then recoup on the profit side of things. However, it's not just the vintage Harley Davidson stuff. It's also modern stuff. A few weeks ago, I sold a Harley Davidson shirt. I bought it for $4 at a local thrift store, not Goodwill. Bought it for $4. It was a 2006, and it was, I want to say, St. Pete, Florida Bike Week or something like that. It was sort of an obscure type of Harley Davidson meetup in 2006, which wasn't, I don't think that was anything significant going on that year. However, I still sold that shirt for $27 plus shipping just because it's Harley Davidson. So find that stuff. Make sure, that if it's a more modern shirt, that there's no rips, tears, stains, or smells on it. If it's a vintage shirt, you can sort of get away with that because it's vintage. People automatically have in their mind, the buyer has in their mind, that it's not going to be perfect condition. So keep that in mind when you are sourcing. Here's a modern shirt. We're talking about this stuff. This is a 2004, Mansfield, Pennsylvania. I've never heard of Mansfield, Pennsylvania. If you're from there, that's pretty cool. But I've never heard of it. Apparently there was some sort of either a meetup or maybe there's a Harley Davidson dealership there. And these people sold this shirt for $25. If you bought it for $4 or $5 at Goodwill and you were able to sell it for $25, you at least doubled, maybe even tripled your money after shipping, free shipping, and after fees. All right, so you can see by the seller's information, they're in that name is resellers. So they're literally going out finding this stuff and just reselling it. They know what's up. This is a profitable item. Definitely keep an eye out for Harley Davidson shirts. The next thing on my list are vintage band shirts, music band shirts. Vintage though. Pay attention to that. They're a little bit harder to come by. However, the money is a little bit sweeter as well with these. Modern band shirts don't typically go for very much money. You can still find them. They're still out there. You know, you might find a Pink Floyd or a Metallica modern shirt, meaning newer than 25 years old, and those can still grab some money. But whenever you start talking about vintage band shirts, even shirts that are rat-tat and sort of rough looking can go for high dollar. You see this sold for 149 Canadian, which is 111 US dollars. And then plus shipping, they charge additional $5 US shipping to send that. 1984 Bruce Springsteen vintage, man, that is a steal. This is something that I can see ending up at the Goodwill bins just because it's ratty looking. Who knows? Maybe this item never even made it to the Goodwill floor, because when they generally when they see things that are super beat up, they'll just send it straight to the bins. They'll send it straight to the Goodwill outlet. Here we see a vintage Vile t-shirt, concert tour band promo, death metal, Cannibal Corpse, XL 2002. So this is not even vintage, and it's still sold for $60. Remember, vintage would have to be 1995 or older, and this still sold as a modern shirt, still sold for $60, fast and free. They did take a best offer. They either took a best offer or they were running some sort of promotion. However, they sold it for $60 free shipping, and this is something that I see similar types of shirts like this in the thrift store. I'm definitely going to start paying attention to that. You can see on one of these pictures at the bottom that it was a tour shirt, so it probably had like the dates and the locations. The one thing I would recommend is do not list your shirt as vintage if it's not. I know that this person was probably just sticking that in there as a search term, right? Like put vintage in there, and when someone types in vintage concert t-shirt, then this would pop up. But they're buying a shirt that's 2002 that's not vintage. Perhaps that's why they put the 2002 in there, so that the buyer would kind of see like, oh, it's not vintage, it's 2002. Still worth buying. Pay attention to that. So band t-shirts, especially tour shirts. Here we have vintage Metallica. Once again, it's not actually vintage. It's a 2003 tour shirt. Still sold for $64 free shipping. This speaks to me, and I'm going to be spending a lot more time focusing on these types of shirts. The next thing I have for you are bulk Lego bundles. I've sold several bulk bundles of Legos, and they always do well. So this is, these people have more than 10 available, and they're 4-pound bulk lots. So you can see each one of those bins is a 4-pound bulk lot according to how they're making this post to sound. They've sold 67 of them, and they have more than 10 available, and you can choose your quantity. So this person is literally a Lego dealer. They probably have some sort of supplier or some sort of hookup to where they can buy at a maybe half this price and then flip it for double their money. However, they're crushing it. They've sold 67 of these 4-pound lots. Definitely focus on doing this. You know, pay attention when you go to the thrift store, because I've seen at Goodwill where they'll have a huge bag, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 pounds, and it'll be $8 or $6, $4. And I missed out on one recently because a guy jumped to it and got to it before me. Pay attention to that stuff whenever you're outsourcing. Definitely money in this. If you go to the thrift store and you can find an entire box that's not opened, or even is opened that has all the pieces in it, those can sell for a lot more. So you can sell some Lego kits for upwards of $100, $150, $200, depending on what the item is. The only caveat to this is those things, as soon as they hit the shelves, someone buys them. So you have to sort of be there in order to get those items. You can see one right here, 4-pound bulk lot, sold for $35 free shipping. Not sure that would have been a very good price to sell it at, but depending on what's in it, maybe those Lego tracks are not very desirable, and so this wasn't that high of a price. However, there is some money there. They had 3 total, and they sold all of them. You can see 3 sold, 0 available. And this is something you can actually pay attention to. Who knows? Maybe the person whose photo we just saw prior to this, maybe they bought all 3 of these for $35 a piece because they know they're selling them for $70 or $80 a piece for each 4-pound lot. Makes sense to me. Here's one that sold for $45 for a 4-pound bulk lot, and they added $20 extra shipping. And then this right here was actually a 3/4 pound. So 12 ounces of brown Lego specialty pieces, logs, fences, castle doors, arch, etc. My son has this Lego kit. So 12 ounces sold for $49 and free shipping. That's not very much. That's a little bag. A little bag of Legos, and they sold it for almost $50 free shipping. The last thing I have for you to be paying attention to are Nintendo Wii consoles. All video game consoles, really, but Nintendo Wii's, for some reason, their value is spiking, especially if you can buy bulk lots of these Wii's. If you can buy a Wii for $8 or $10, they're selling in bulk lots, so 10 or 12 of these things for several $100s. I saw one, I want to say it was 12 Nintendo Wii's, so 6 and 6, 2 stacks, and it sold for something like $600 or $800, which if you spent $10 a piece, you would only be in them for a couple $100 at the very most. There is a Goodwill outlet near me that sells these, and I want to say they charge $11 a piece for them. My strategy is to jump on those, buy all of them, and then sell them as a bulk lot for double or triple the price. Here you see this lot. The RVL001 is the most desirable of all of the Wii's because it has the connection for Nintendo GameCube controllers. There's a little trap door on there. You open it and it's got 4 slots for Nintendo GameCube controllers. That's why the RVL001 goes for so much compared to the not that. Microsoft Xbox One 500 gigabyte console only. This one was listed at $108 and they gave 5% off, so $103. You know, you might be able to find one of these for $40 on Craigslist. This had no cables, it had no controllers, no games, nothing, just the console. If you can buy one of these for $40 or $50 and flip it for $100, that's a pretty good day. Right here, Microsoft Xbox One S 1 terabyte console, white with the 2 controllers, $152. Depending on where you're at, you might find someone that's hard up for rent money on Craigslist and they're just trying to offload the stuff. Pay attention to that. Look around, look Facebook Marketplace, Let Go. All of these online platforms, you can be looking to buy these items to flip on eBay. This is another Microsoft Xbox One S 1 terabyte console, white. It's got the cables and 1 controller, sold for $140. So the value has decreased since they were brand new. However, if you can get them used on one of those marketplaces, like I said, you could be sitting on some money. Guys, that is what I have for you today when it comes to what you should be selling on eBay for high profits, when especially when you're a beginner seller. Here are 10 solid items that can turn you fast profit, high profit, and get your eBay store rolling. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like. If you're not already subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so you are notified whenever I release more videos. We're doing 1 video a day for 40 days. Subscribe, like, and as always, keep selling, get the bag. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.